what's up, guys? It's TJ back at you with another video. Today we're doing the pre-race show and talking about the next event in the race space tournament series we are running. This will be round 4 at Matterley Basin. Once again, the owner of Race Space here with me, El Mustard. What's up,
What's
man? How
going
you
on,
doing?
guys? Good. How you been?
Pretty good, man. Always glad to have you on here with us. Glad you take the time out of your day to do these shows with us. I really enjoy it, man. Um, your first thoughts, man, going into Matterley. We just raced Assen. Matterley's a big difference. From there, it's very big contrast on the types of tracks these two are, especially the ground types, to do with how the ruts form. What's your first thought going into Matterley?
Well, yeah, you nailed it. It's a completely different track than Ascend was. It's a lot bigger, a lot wider. The key for the guys is going to have a good suspension setup for the deteriorated track. It gets pretty slick out there, and I think the big thing is pick your lines and have good throttle control all day. And I think you should find yourself towards the top of the pack.
Definitely. And I think one big thing here is going to be the early race, too. I feel like the early race kind of sets foot for what the later race is going to be like at this track. If you don't have a good start or good first, probably 4 laps, I'd say normally it tends to be a rough race after that.
It's very tough to dig yourself out of a hole here, especially if you start in 5th or 6th, then you kind of lose sight of the leaders. Feels like people can kind of just walk away from you here, and it gets tough to catch up to people once you lose your pace.
Definitely. And I do want to do kind of a track walk with you here. We're at the starting gate, but before that, I do want us to go ahead and introduce our guest today. And we do have a new guest today, guys. This is RM, and he went 6-6 so far in these rounds. I think he raced round 2 and 3. He could not make round 1, sadly enough, but he is here to race. And this tends to be a good track that he runs on. And, really glad to have you here. What's your thoughts going into this event, and what's your kind of game plan going into Matterley, coming off 2 6 places right out of 5th? How's your mindset going into this?
Well, tell you what, TJ, the plan is to execute a good start. Lead those laps, stay consistent, and hopefully go out there for a win.
That's good. That's a good mentality to have too, especially coming off a 6. It's good to see you have the winner's mentality, which a lot of people in this series seems to be bringing that mentality, into Assen and now into Matterley. We've heard a lot of people, really getting their hopes up, really getting, their mindset towards that first place win.
Absolutely, everybody is on rails.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the classes are only
yeah,
getting
that's
harder.
how it has been.
Yeah. Now, I do want to ask you guys, key to the race, starting off first part of the track, this is the whole shot. You get on this long stretch to make a wide sweeping left turn that kind of catty corner cuts as you go down it. What's what's your keys going off the gate? What's your mindset? What's your first thought when you're on this gate drop? What are you trying to do first?
I'm going to try to get to the inside
Exactly.
and try to
That's what I'm
flat
saying.
track around that corner.
Yep, gotta hug that berm tight.
It is a hard one to hit like that too. So that is a tough one to be able to pull the whole shot here. Now, going
The corner
down
after
through
that
here.
is an issue.
Do what?
The corner after the whole shot. Down the straight pretty much.
Yeah.
That's going to be difficult.
Yeah, and through this section right here.
Signs.
Yeah, definitely. And this section right here is a pretty rough one too. Like through here, I feel like these turns right here, you really have to play with your gears a lot through these, next 3 turns. I feel like it's a lot of shifting, a lot of, playing with your RPMs to be able to keep your speed up through these turns.
Absolutely.
And I do feel like one of the keys for me, is going to be definitely just try to stay consistent. I know before this we did talk a little bit in RM. You said, staying consistent, not really pushing yourself on a 450 because of, how easy, they can just pop away. They can have these effects on, some of the ruts that form on this track. Yeah.
Yeah, this track, there's going to be some nice ruts at the beginning, but I'll tell you what, halfway through this race, the track is going to be rough.
Definitely.
It gets really slick once it breaks down, I think.
Yeah, it
So
does.
it's good to have a good suspension and
Setup
make
is
sure
going to
your
be key
tire hooks
also.
up.
Yeah, because once the ruts form here, it's not necessarily like most tracks where, you know, it's ruts you sink into. It's more or less. Oh, sorry about that. Tire. They it's more or less you know, the ruts are still there, but they're more like cross ruts because you're just kind of sliding everywhere, as you said, Musher. It's real slick, and you just kind of end up cross rutting yourself most of the time.
Yeah, it gets pretty tough. Like once we do 15 lap main event, by about lap 7 or 8, you can really start to notice a difference. There's not one like predominant rut in this track, it seems like, unless a lot of people run the same line. It seems like the whole track just gets like mush,
Yeah.
almost. Like just people and mud. People going everywhere, mud and just every corner, so.
This is one of my favorite corners that we just went through. I love that corner.
Yeah, it's a real smooth
Towards the
corner.
end of the race, you'll notice everybody's starting to shift into a higher gear going around. A lot of these.
A lot of them will do that, and I even kind of do it on this track as well, is kind of ride the higher gears through the corners. And, you know, you just kind of coast through them. It seems easier to do that than worry about your back tire spinning. And, you know, now that we talked a little bit about the track, what's, you know, if you had to pick 3 keys to the race, 3 main points that people have to do to get a win here at Matterly, we'll start off with you, Mustard. Like, what's your 3 keys? What, in your mind, do you have to do to win at Matterly?
Number 1 for me is hole shot. Hole shot or be right there with the leaders after the start and be up front. The second key for the race is to pick your lines wisely. How the track gets, and like we've been saying, with how mushy and how slick it gets, you gotta basically just have consistent lines. Try to get your rut formed up and hammer down. And then my third one is basically not only consistent lines, but keep it on 2 wheels consistently, and I think you'll find yourself on a podium spot.
I can definitely
What do
agree
you
with
think,
those.
RM?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with Mustard. It's all about that start, staying consistent and hitting your marks.
Definitely. I think if I had to pick my 3 keys, you know, about the same thing as what you've both touched on. You know, the line choices are important. My big worry for most people in this track, it's one that I kind of struggle with myself. It's one that's hard to do on Matterly Basin, but it's the track you need to do it on the most. I feel like is you need to have secondary lines, and you know, as I said, y'all touched on that with line choices, but you know, once that one line gets ruined, or once the obvious line is, you know, kind of no longer viable to run on that lap, you have to be able to have a whole new, yeah, you got to find new dirt and have a whole new line around the track to be able to not wreck or not slide out and not lose, you know, even if it's a 1/10 of a second to half a second, you know, per turn, you got to find new lines that still keep your speed up and your consistency.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
and
felt
that
like
start
we
is
were
like
all
a big
putting
one.
around at first, and now we're all flying.
Yeah. I also think the start is important, like I said, and I feel like on this track, definitely as y'all said, the whole shot is important. I feel like the main point for this track when it comes out to it, once again, we've all touched on it a little bit, but I think the first 4 or 5 laps is the real decider for how your race is going to go. If you don't have either an outstanding or a very consistent, well-ran first 4 or 5 laps, the rest of the race I feel like is going to be you fighting in a pack of people trying to salvage every little point you can.
Oh, another important thing that you probably should talk about would be your heat races. You can get in there and size everybody up, see where everybody's strong, and not, you know, having the best of luck. Certain parts of the tracks maybe, and see where you can make a pass and get a position.
Definitely. I feel like that is going to be a big part for Matterly is, you know, if you're behind someone, I don't feel like the goal of Matterly is to pass that person. It's to see where you're faster than they are at to be able to size up a a proper pass on them and be able to see where you're losing time, where they're gaining time, where you're gaining time, they're losing time, and be able to calculate all that as you're going around the track during the race, and try to add it into your lines as you go, which is not easily done once again at Matterly.
RM just put a championship move on me.
Yeah,
Stuffed me into the crowd.
And I guess closing down this interview for you, RM, we got to ask, what do you think after being in round 2, round 3? You have 2 6th places. You've been out of the top 5 in both of them. Ran good in both of them, but definitely had some rough races during those. How are you feeling going into Matterly? Now you said you wanted to win. Do you have a good mindset for it? Do you think you're prepared this week? Do you think you got a good, set up and good way of getting around Matterly?
You see, the first round 2, it was Glen Helen. I've never been too strong there, but it all panned out the way it was supposed to.
Round 2 was it wasn't Glen Helen. It was
Glen Helen.
No, we went to Ascend.
Keegan's.
The second one was Keegan's.
Oh, Keegan's. Yeah, that's what I'm at. I'm not very strong at that track. Assen, everybody was just on it, and I mean, we were battling for second there for a while, and it really came down to who made the most mistakes.
Definitely. And I guess closing this out, we appreciate having you here, man. Really hope to see you up on that podium spot and get a good race tonight. And definitely it's going to be a tough crowd here going from Assen to Matterly with all the faster people that are racing, and the bigger the crowd is getting in these tournaments. And is there any last words you have to say about it, Mustard? Anything, final thoughts for Matterly?
I just can't wait to see getting more people out there. I don't know, the tournament's growing a little bit, and I hope that people are mentoring just because the points are already up. And I mean, I just hope we get some more riders out there. It's exciting to see we're getting this many good riders out here. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what round 4 has in store.
All right, me as well. And RM, again, we thank you for having you here. Mustard, thank you for joining me again here for this show. Everyone be sure to check out twitch.tv/TJ__RS to watch the live stream of my POV, as well as Mustard's POV on his YouTube channel, El Mustard Tigre. And then on both channels, we'll have the main event and the heat races in video form the next day. Thank you guys for watching.